So are things getting to a point of critical mass within the Georgia football program? I mean, we saw Marcus Rosemary-St. Jackson, Jacksaint. He's the fourth guy that's been arrested in a driver-related incident. I think he was doing 90 and a 45. I don't really care what the number is. But here's the thing. Do I think Kirby's lost control of the program and all this good kind of stuff? No, I don't think that at all. But the perception is that this program looks like they can't get a handle on what their guys are doing. And I don't think that this is an NIL thing or anything like that, right? Coaches can still influence playing time, how, if you're going to start, things like that. You can punish guys, but somebody's got to be made an example of all of this. And the perception is, right, wrong, fair or unfair, is that nobody has learned from the Jalen Carter incident, where Jalen Carter was obviously involved in the car wreck that killed a couple of, a football player, Devin Willock, Chandler LaCroix, the recruiting coordinator and all that, right? They were drag racing, LaCroix and Jalen Carter, right? That whole incident that happened on January 15th. It feels like nobody has learned their lesson with all of this. And that's the part that is frustrating. That's the part when you look at this, you say, okay, why can't Kirby get a handle on this? And first off, miss me with the whole narrative that, well, the coaches don't know what they're doing, they can't be on. Yeah, they do. I promise you that they do. They know everything that goes on, right? I had a guy that I worked for that his son played for George O'Leary down in Central Florida, okay? And this was in the middle of summertime. This is summertime, right? So everybody's out of school and this, that, and the other, okay? He had to report logs of his workout. He had to report logs of his diet. He had to track what he was doing. And the coaches would contact him, it wasn't necessarily O'Leary, but they would contact. He stayed in constant communication with the coaches and was logging his workouts on a daily basis. They know this is the middle of the summertime. These guys know what's going on. That's why they have grad assistants and things like that to monitor everything that goes on. So miss me with that whole narrative about, well, they don't know what's going. No, they don't. They do. They know what's going on. You have an idea of what's going on. And so the perception is now that nobody's learned any lessons. And Kirby's like, well, okay, somebody's got to be made example of. And maybe it has to be a star player, but somebody's either got to get kicked off the team, somebody's got to be suspended, somebody's got to be sat down, somebody's got to have their playing time influenced, but something has to change. Well, it's just kids speeding and all that kind of stuff. Okay, it was kids speeding on January 15th. That resulted in the loss of life. And when you have an incident like that happens, wouldn't you naturally think, wouldn't your gut instinct tell you that, oh, okay, that's an eye-opener. That should be a lesson. That's like, whoa, okay, we lost a teammate, we lost a recruiting coordinator, whatever. Whoa, Jalen got in trouble, right? And now he's being sued by Devin Willock's father for millions upon millions of dollars. The athletic department is getting sued, and Jalen Carter is getting sued. Wouldn't you think that the athletic department would say, hey, man, look, nothing may come of this, but we don't need to have lawsuits for tens of millions of dollars that are filed against us. Let's get a handle on all of this. Wouldn't all of that stuff be naturally just in your mind, in your own personal mind? All of that be happening? Of course. And again, I don't think Kirby's lost control of the program and he can't get a handle on it. But somebody's got to be, look, and I know that with success, you have this invincibility fear. They're the best team in college football. They're the best program in college football. They have the best coach in college football. They are number one. They're the number one recruiting, right? They just landed the number one player in the country. Nobody learned their lesson from the Jalen Carter situation. Things are not better now. Things have not calmed down. Here's a guy driving 90 and a 45, And again, it's again, we can talk about, well, it was only a $2,000 final, but the perception is from people that it's crazy to think that after he had two people killed on January 15th because of reckless driving, speeding, drag racing, drinking and driving, and all of these things, that two people had to lose their life. And we're still going out and recklessly driving excessively at speed, whatever it is. That's the perception. And that's what it looks like to everybody. It's like, Georgia's run amok. They're out of control. Kirby's got to get his arms around all of this. He's got to get a grasp on all of this because it's not a good look for the University of Georgia. And again, you would think that the athletic department would say, look, we got to get a handle on some of these things. I don't know what the solution is. Take away everybody's driver's license. I don't know. Not let anybody drive. Whatever it is, I don't care what the solution is. Just solve the perception of what this program is becoming. Because again, it's like every other week, there's, every couple of weeks, there's another player recklessly driving, speeding, doing all this, that, and the other. And I get it. I understand. We were all young once, right? If I ever sped in my life, sure, I speed today at 51. I'm still a speeder. I still drive 80 miles an hour when I'm trying to get down 400. But again, the perception is that this program is not getting a grasp on what needs to be done. And I know at the sacrifice or whatever of the program, again, they're in their best run in school history. How many years has the University of Georgia played football? This is the highest peak point of success ever for this program. I get it. And you don't want to do anything that is going to chop that down a little bit and drop you down a level or two. I get it. You don't want that to happen. But at some point, for the good of the program, somebody's got to be made an example of. And this trend has to stop where we're getting all of these incidents. I mean, this is the things that are being reported. Imagine what what the real truth is of everything, right? Imagine what the reality is of incidents that haven't been reported, or where the cop said, hey, okay, we'll let this slide, or what have you, right? So again, the perception is the fact that you didn't learn your lesson from two people dying. And that's where the problem becomes, is that they look at Kirby and say, why can't we get a grasp on this thing? Why does the athletic department and Jalen Carter have to be sued for tens of millions of dollars right now because of these incidents? Why can we not slow guys down from driving 90 miles an hour in a 45? Again, we'll probably hear in a couple of weeks that somebody else is driving 90 in a 45, right? That seems to be the trend right now. So until Kirby gets his arms around this thing, somebody's got to be made an example of. I don't care what that is. You suspend a guy, you kick him off the team, whatever. At some point, you have to send a message to your players that this behavior is not going to become acceptable. This is not going to be the norm. This is not how we're going to operate business-wise with this program. Yeah, there'll be incidents and things like that along the way, but it's one right after another. So until Kirby gets his arms around this and makes an example of somebody, who knows? Again, this is the things we know. I can't even imagine what we don't know. All right, as you make Hittin' Hard your first listen every day, make sure you go into whatever podcast platform that you're listening on and let us know that you're an everyday listener to the program. So we thank you so much for being a part of our ever-growing community. A little bit more than a year into this now, so we've grown exponentially, and obviously we thank you for all of that. Let us know in the comments section of whatever platform you're on that you're an everydayer, as we like to call them, being an everyday listener to our program.